The amount of times that I will always and forever say that I fucking hate niggers. Oh my god, I fucking hate chimps. Like, I hate y'all. Like, I don't fucking, oh, we were slaves this entire, I don't give a fuck, nigga. Like, for a fucking reason, you guys were fucking slaves. You guys don't know anything better than to fucking steal. Like, oh my fucking god, nigga. Like, I was literally eating fucking food with my friend. He had his, oh my god, like, I don't know, por Dios, por gracias de fucking Dios, I had my fucking wallet next to me, like my whole purse, and those fucking, like, that little fucking small ass chimp decided not to fucking steal my fucking wallet, nigga. Oh my god, nigga, I would've grabbed my heel and like whooped the fuck out of that nigga's ass. But like, whatever, right? Some other but no homo or nothing. Y'all don't know how good it felt to say like out loud, like goddamn, nigga, like oh my god, I felt like I was back in the Marine Corps, nigga. Like I kid you not, I don't know what the fuck came over me. I grabbed that nigga by the neck and I was like, come here, you fucking nigger. And oh my god, like I felt like the world just stopped. Like it was just peace. Like I don't know. And then he was just like even I in my head I was like, damn bitch, te pasaste, because I called him a fucking nigger, dog. Like imagine. How many fucking downtown chimps were there? They could have beaten my ass. And then he like stops like, dang, now just call me a fucking nigger. I was like, you're a nigger. I was like, oh my god, like you're a fucking nigger and I called you a nigger. Like world peace, bitch. Come here, you fucking nigger. And oh my god, like I felt like the world just stopped. Like it was just peace. Like I don't know.
The woman in this video going on a racist rant is allegedly Houston police officer Ashley Gonzalez.
I kid you not, I don't know what the fuck came over me. I grabbed the nigga by the neck and I was like, come here, you fucking nigger. And oh my god, like I felt like the world just stopped. Like it was just peace. Like I don't know. And then he was just like even I in my head I was like, damn bitch, te pasaste, because I called him a nigger, dog. And then he like stops like, dang, now just call me a nigger. I was like, you're a nigger. I was like, oh my god, like you're a fucking nigger and I called you a nigger. Like world
26 received a video today from a viewer who claims it shows a police officer using a racial slur time and time again. Fox 26's Karis Belger joining us in studio with more on those allegations. Karis.
Well, Anthony, the video is disturbing. Fox 26 received it from a viewer, as you said, alleging the woman in the video is Officer Ashley Gonzalez. Now, Houston police say they are aware of the video. While the department has not publicly confirmed Gonzalez is the woman seen in it, HPD says she's been relieved of duty as the investigation moves forward. Now, we're not showing you the full video, but I can tell you the woman in it uses a racial slur to describe black people at least 5 times. The video was posted to an Instagram story, and in it, the woman also describes an arrest and says she used that same word toward the person she was taking into custody. Now, later, the woman says she felt, quote, at peace being able to say it. After watching the video, Bishop James Dixon said he was shocked and disturbed by the content. He says this goes beyond offensive language and raises serious concerns about public safety and trust.
That's a dangerous mindset to be out on the streets with a uniform and a gun and a badge and saying, I'm a peace officer.
Again, HPD says it is aware of the video and they are investigating whether or not Gonzalez is the person in it. At this point, it's still unclear whether she could face additional discipline or whether investigators are looking into any of her past interactions on the job. Anthony?
All right, so Karis, I mean, beyond the video here, what are the bigger concerns? It's got to be a larger conversation happening here.
Well, absolutely. I mean, there's the language itself, right? But the concern is whether bias may have affected the way this officer interacted with people on the job. And that's why Dixon says this investigation needs to look not just at the video, but at the larger issue of public trust and accountability.
All right, we'll see where that goes.
Shalom, shalom. First off, I'd like to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakah Kadash, and to my elders of GMS who told me the truth. Shalom to them, and shalom to you brothers that scattered throughout the 4 corners of the earth, preaching His gospel, preaching His word, risking your lives to do so. Shalom to you brothers. Yeah, you got a northern tribe woman probably from the tribe of Issachar. Issachar, it's probably Issachar, right? And she said the word nigga. She just came out and just getting on, so-called niggers, and I guess them. She probably been talking about like them little young niggas with them dreads and shit, whatever. Because she said she grabbed him by his hair, whatever. I mean, he could have had an afro or something. I don't know, but nonetheless, she conveyed, she came out with her hatred, towards, the Southern tribe, and I do want to give her some type of, I don't know, maybe some type of grace, because she could have been speaking out of context, like meaning she could have just been saying those little niggas, like those hood niggas, those, but she didn't specify that. She just went on her rant about, niggas, and maybe she could have been like, well, nah, these little hood niggas, whatever, that's causing trouble, crime and shit like that, whatever. And, I wasn't talking about, the whole so-called black race. I'm just, people or whatever, but I was just talking about the niggas that's causing the trouble and shit like that, whatever, who we have to deal with on a regular basis. Being know that she's a police officer and she has to answer those calls when, those people, whatever, so-called black people are, out there in Houston, whatever, causing trouble or whatever, and they get those calls to come deal with those people. But I'll try to give her benefit of the doubt, but she didn't say all that. So it's like, I think it's now it's all you niggas, and that's not true. That's simply not true. It's a lot of good Southern tribe out there, that work and, honest citizens, and, it's not a whole lot of them, but, they're around. But, they have this whole notion now, that all black people is bad. If you come across one or two black bad people, bad people, you're going to come across, they all bad. They all fucked up. So don't deal with them at all, and that's always been the notion that Esau put out there. You know what I mean? That, that whole division and, and this whole Willie Lynch letter, the light skin versus dark skin, and, and the division far as, they speak Spanish, we speak English, and they live on this side of town, we live on that side of town, and that's the division that Esau put on, how he divided the tribes, and have us hating one another and killing one another. Hell, the jail system is divided, with the gangs and shit like that. You got the Mexican gangs, you got the black gangs, and you got all these gangs and shit, and they have to be divided. And they're killing one another. You got the Mexican gangs siding with the Aryan Nation, and and they going at the black gangs, and then the Muslim gang, whatever. Like it's just all fucked up. And that's part of the curses. Us not being together, us not being one, and it's crazy because she's saying all this as a police officer and this and the third, but she has no smoke for the ICE agents deporting her people, the atrocities and the SAN and that they're doing, and these women are coming up pregnant, whatever. She ain't got no issues with that. That's cool with her. She's cool with all that. The atrocities that Esau brought upon Issachar. She forgot about the manifest destiny when they came over here. When Mexicans were already here, Issachar was already here along with the Reubenites and Gadites on this land, and they already set claim on this land before Esau even got here. Had the land and everything with them. What they got pushed out. They got sent right back to Mexico, sent right back across the border, and that's what happened. They was murdered, they would, essayed, all that. I'm trying to watch my words, because YouTube, they be on some bullshit, but like, this is just, we see this time and time again. I've met Northern Tribe that was on some shit where, these niggas this, these niggas that, this, that, and the third, And it's like, okay, we all niggas. You know what I mean? You're a slave too. You're a slave too. You're under the curses too. You know? The Lord's statute commandments apply to you too. And that's what they don't understand. You know, they think, you know, they think the Lord and Savior is a goddamn white man with blue eyes, with blonde hair and blue eyes. You know, they get fucking fucked around by these priests as children when they go, you know, when they go up into them Catholic churches. She ain't gonna say nothing about that. She cool with that, I guess. I guess that's cool. That's all cool. None of the atrocities that Esau has put on her tribe of people, whatever, is no problem. It's just you niggas that's the problem. And don't get me wrong, I hate niggas too. You know what I mean? I hate niggas too. I love my brothers, but I hate niggas. You know? And if she was coming from that aspect of things, I wouldn't have an issue with that. But I'm thinking it's more on some all you niggas. And that's just off. You know, that's just going off. You know, but I'm bring the scripture out, and Lord, when this ain't gonna be too long. You know, I ain't gonna rant too much on this, but I just want to make a point. You know what I mean? The southern tribe and the northern tribe is gonna have to come back together some way, form, or fashion. The Lord's not off in confusion. He ain't gonna just have them just hating us, and we just going at each other. The Lord, is gonna bring us back together. But when He's gonna bring us together, it's probably gonna be towards the end. Towards when Jacob's trouble and MOTB, whatever. When everything's going to hell, they're gonna have to see that their enemy is the devil. It's the so-called devil. Who they put in high regard, Esau Edom. They're gonna see that he's the devil when he's out there doing, that's saying you and unaliving you and putting you in fucking concentration camps, at FEMA camps. That's when they're gonna see it. That's when they're gonna see it, and really that's too late. The Lord have to get you beat the fuck up and just treat it like shit and all kind of shit for you to see that he's the goddamn devil. And we was never your enemy. We was being oppressed just like you. You know what? Let me bring that scripture out. Judah and Israel. All right. This is Jeremiah 15:33. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. That's right. We were oppressed together. We're living in the hoods together. We're living in poverty together. We working at these fucking slave jobs, these dead-end jobs together. We live in the same communities together. When those Ecuadorians and Guatemalans and everything when they were bringing them into the country, whatever, those so-called illegals, whatever, those immigrants, they wasn't going into no white neighborhoods. They was coming into the black neighborhoods, so-called black neighborhoods. And that's where they're here. Some of them are still here. I ain't got no issues with them being here. They don't cause me no trouble. But that's what happened. You're not living amongst the fucking those heathens and Esau and Esau and all them. You're not living amongst them. They're not giving you their jobs. You're not taking their jobs and their positions. You living amongst oppressed people. The same oppressed people that you hate. For whatever reason. You know? And then when you go back into the times where they had us in slavery, we would, the men would, the slave men would flee to Mexico, whatever, to get protection from them. And they gave us guns and arms, whatever, to defend ourselves against the slave catcher, the master, whoever. You know what I mean? So we were cool at one point. We were fighting together, standing side by side. Now it's this hate shit. Now it's this, fuck you niggas, and you get out of our neighborhoods, or don't come over here. You're a bunch of troublemakers, and don't get me wrong. Listen, there's a lot of niggas that's I hate niggas. I hate that hood mentality, that hood fucking way of being, and the way we do kill each other, we do rob one another, we do fucked up shit to each other, and that's not right. But if she was saying something about that and just calling, saying something about that in that aspect, I wouldn't have an issue with what she said. But she really means all niggas, all black people. Y'all all fucked up, and that's just wrong. Like I said, I needed more context, and I'm trying to, like I said, I still try to give her the benefit of the doubt that she meant it in a different context. And then what we saw, then what we heard. But then again, I don't think so. You know what I mean? But hey, these are the curses. These are the curses. You know what I mean? It said that we wouldn't be together, like we wouldn't, be, brotherly or neighborly towards one another. Now, and it's not to say that Northern Tribe feel like this towards Southern Tribe. No, I've had good relationships with Northern Tribe, mostly better than Southern Tribe. They did nice shit for me, and being charitable and things like that. I never forget that. You know what I mean? I've had a decent experience, but it just, two things can be true. You know what I mean? Two things can be true. Are niggas fucked up? Do we kill each other? Do we do this, that, and the third? Yes. But there's some good black people out there and all that, just trying to live and just trying to beat the oppression of Esau and all that. Yes, that's two things can be true. But this, nothing's going to change till Yahweh Shah comes back, with the hosts of the armies and those chariots, and we get redeemed, starting with the elect. This place has to be destroyed. As long as this place keep going and it's still running and business as usual, you know what I mean? This thought, this way of thinking is always going to be on the earth. It's always going to be upon our people. It's always going to, that stronghold is always going to be there. Especially Northern Tribe. Northern Tribe got a stronghold on them with the whole, Catholicism and what they were taught, and the false doctrines, and the Lord